G'day everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Forgotten Gold podcast. Today, on episode 5, we take a seat at Perth Wake Park to interview Benny Heatley, one of Australia's top wakeboarders. So join us as we get to know a bit more about Benny and the beautiful sport of wakeboarding. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is pretty funky.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Big fan of the podcast. So.
I'm pretty excited to have the kickers in the background. Hopefully, we'll see some people doing some jumps.
Scottley's sending some stuff. Scott,
you gotta send.
Do something cool. Yeah, no, I'm sure Scott will send something.
Exactly.
In the background, which will be sick.
So I first met you, it'd be like a month ago now.
Yeah, it was a little bit ago.
Came to the wake park, played a gig because our friend Alfie actually set it all up. And I was so shocked about the community and how welcoming it was.
Oh no, it's really good. Like I knew Alfie from, he came over to work a season here, and he's also been to Mackay, and that's how these guys met. And it kind of just brought everyone together, and the wake park crew is it's not very tight knit, I guess. Anyone can kind of move in and out of it. Everyone's very welcoming.
Do you think that's because I found out today that wakeboarding is only 25 years old?
It is a very, very young sport. So I feel like because the scene's so small, everyone kind of knows everyone.
Yeah.
And that's really cool because wherever you go, you've always got a mate as long as you both wakeboard, which is
so awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Now, I'd love to touch on a little bit more on the history of wakeboarding and how it started.
Well, you had in terms of board sports, surfing's got the longest history, and then pretty much I think it was somewhere in the US, probably California or something. The guys that wanted to do something when the waves were flat, they invented skateboarding. And then from surfing and from skateboarding came snowboarding. And then wakeboarding's then kind of under snowboarding. So we kind of take inspiration from mainly snowboard tricks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the history, and it was all behind the boat back in the day. But just recently, cables had a pretty large insurgence just because with all the cables popping around up now.
It's crazy. Who invented
accessible.
The first cable park? Because it's such a strange idea. It's basically a skate park on the water.
It was actually, I believe it was in Germany.
Yeah.
That they invented it because, they only have really, really big lakes, and their market for boats and stuff was a bit smaller, but people still like to hang by the lake, and it's crazy when you go over there. People have lakes that they have on property, and they charge people entrance, and the amount of people that just go pay €5 or something to go hang by a lake is insane because they don't have any beaches other than in the north.
Yeah.
So surfing's not accessible for them. So yeah, the Germans rip on the skis, and because cable used to be just slalom courses.
Yeah.
So people just ripping it up on skis and then doing it over the other side, and then only recently in the last 20 years or so, it's kind of transitioned into the wakeboarding aspect of things.
It's pretty awesome. Like, you're 20...
19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've almost been here since almost the beginning of the sport. You must feel sort of like a pioneer in sort of...
Yeah, I guess so. In terms of where the sport's going, a lot's been changing. Like my dad used to wakeboard heaps.
Yeah.
A little while back, and he was still wakeboarding when wakeboards were more surfboard shaped than wakeboard shaped. It's behind the boat. But yeah, it does feel pretty cool to have seen, I guess, the sport develop, because I was only really introduced to it when I was about 9 years old.
Yeah.
And then I started riding the cable when I was 11. So in terms of compared to some other people that have been in the sport, I haven't really been in it for as long as others. But I definitely feel like I've been here long enough to see it grow and see it develop and see what it's, I guess, been and what it's going to turn into.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. Well, let's touch on your origins, how you started wakeboarding, what's motivated you to keep doing it and push yourself to the level that you are now, where you're absolutely sending kickers and rails at a ridiculous height.
Oh, yeah, my body doesn't thank me for that. Well, Dad actually got us, me and my brothers, I've got two brothers, into wakeboarding. It started behind just a dinghy.
Yeah.
And we'd be obsessed with just getting dragged on like a boogie board, whatever. So that was super fun. And then we got ourselves a proper wake boat. It was called a Matrix Expression. It was pretty cool. And from there, we kind of started learning to wakeboard. I honestly hated wakeboarding at the start. I much preferred to kneeboard.
Yeah.
Because I know I was like that. Because every time I would go wakeboarding and try stuff, I'd get smoked. Just get absolutely cooked. Because that's how learning happens. You gotta, what's he doing? You gotta go through that pain to sort of figure it out. So I didn't really like wakeboarding at the start, and then I started getting a little bit better, and started to enjoy it more. And then we found the cable because there's three of us boys in the family. We found it was really hard to get everyone out on the water for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
So behind the boat, it's like you get 1 20-minute set each. It'd be $120 for fuel.
Boy.
You'd come out, you'd got to clean the boat, you got to store the boat somewhere, you got to pay the insurances, and it's just way too much for what it was.
Yeah.
And one of my mates actually told me about this place because he knew I'd enjoyed wakeboarding. And so we came down here, and first day we were here. We came for, I think it was my older brother's birthday or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, or he just came with some mates. And first day we were just hooked on it. It's the little progression, or like getting better, and that excitement and the adrenaline that you feel is just the most addictive feeling ever. So it keeps you coming back for more. And when you have been in the sport for ages, it gets pretty tricky, because the stuff that gives you that adrenaline gets harder and harder and harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, and you just got to send bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, I guess, looking to get better. It's searching for that adrenaline hit and the reason you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I've done it for as long as I have, just because of the.
And you've been able to travel quite a lot due to wakeboarding.
Yeah. So
you've wakeboarded in Europe, which I'm guessing it's probably a little bit bigger over there. They've
oh
got
yeah,
a lot
it's massive
more
over
parks.
there. Yeah, so Germany has 80 cable parks.
Wow.
80 of them.
80.
And that's
not
in
it's not a massive country
No,
either.
it's tiny.
Far out.
So you can every half an hour you can get to a different cable park. I remember I did like this demo day for one of the companies I'm sponsored by, called Liquid Force.
Yeah.
And that was super fun. We went to 14 different cable parks in 13 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is the only cable park in Western Australia. So yeah, it is a lot bigger in Europe.
Yeah.
Compared to Australia, especially the biggest scene in Australia is over east.
Yeah.
So Queensland has like 5 cables. New South Wales has one. Victoria has one. South Australia is getting one.
Okay, so they
that's
don't
pretty
even have
exciting.
one at the moment.
They don't have one at the moment. The
Wow.
Northern Territory doesn't. But it is quite exciting. Boat wakeboarding is really big in South Australia.
Yeah.
But they're building a cable there, which is really, really cool to see.
Awesome.
It's going to be good.
And so you go to Europe, you wakeboard over there. Is it mainly to film videos, or do you do a lot of competitions?
Going over to Europe is mostly competitive riding.
Yeah.
There is a lot of filming in between contests, because in between really large contests there are large gaps.
Yeah.
So you're there for like 2-3 weeks just kind of floating around, which isn't great, especially if you've only got the 3 months over there as part of like a holiday visa or something. So we go to like different parks, and if wake parks have seen you like around just on Instagram, due to that, I guess, wakeboarding community again, they'll let you stay for free. They'll let you film some content for them. They'll feed you. They'll make sure you're happy. They'll make sure you put in a good name for the park.
Yeah.
So yeah, all you have to do is just like message the park, say, hey, I'm coming over. You guys got any place to stay? Want any content? And they'll be like, yeah, you can stay here. We'll feed you, whatever.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Well, can you
really
talk
cool.
us through 2 things? I suppose the first would be, what does a comp look like? And then what does filming and edit look like? A day on the water filming, trying new tricks.
Okay, well, the wakeboarding contests, they're long. They take a little bit. So you've got all these different formats. The main format is called traditional. So you've got 1 lap. It starts at the kickers and finishes at the kickers.
Yeah.
So you'll hit the kickers, and then you hit the next features, go all the way around, and then there's also some air trick sections. So you're not using any rails, you're just using like the load of the cable, kind of like a kiteboard trick.
Okay.
And all of those points add up to your final score. Some contests are a little bit different. So like in Germany, for the first contest of the season, it's called the Langenfeld Open. The course is just 1/2 of the cable. So you'll hit the kickers, and then you'll hit like an obstacle section, and then another one, and then another one, and another one, and another one.
When you say obstacle section, what do you mean by that?
Oh, just like your normal rails.
Okay, yeah.
But the features over there are pretty big. Like you have what's called pull gaps and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Whoa.
you got the water, and then you've got like a big raised pool. So you go up off the water into a higher pool, and then go out of that pool down like rails and stuff. And Lithuania has 2 pools, so you go up onto a pool and then up onto a second pool, and then
Wow.
yeah, it's nuts. It's pretty fun.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's kind of your wakeboard contests and
So
judged.
scoring? Yeah.
Scoring, yeah. So it's mainly your intensity, your execution, and your composition.
Yeah.
So intensity, how hard your stuff is. Execution, how well you do it.
Yeah.
So locking in the rails and making sure you're not spinning on the rails and doing all those little nuances.
Yeah.
And then composition is how well you put your run together. So have you got an even amount of like spins and flips, and are you spinning both ways, and are you riding the rails all the different ways to, I guess, show the judges that you're an all-rounded rider.
Yeah.
You can't just do one thing. You're not a one-trick pony.
Wow. And so, okay, let's talk through your run, your like go-to tricks,
My
your
go-to
go-to
trick.
rail tricks. I suppose let's start with you hit a kicker. What's like, this is my last trick of the day. I want to impress the judges. What are we doing?
I'd usually do a double toe back roll. So it's like you go off the kicker, double flip, and then wuss. That's like
Double fronty,
double backy.
double backy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like the main one. That's kind of it's a bit of a crowd pleaser as well.
Yeah.
Like in terms of difficulty, it's hard.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some things do score higher than that, but that's just the funnest thing I like to do.
Yeah.
So that's my main one that I go for.
So cool. Okay, well let's move to edits.
Edits.
So that's something that
Making
I
videos.
suppose in any board sport,
Yeah.
it's one of the most exciting things, and everyone looks forward to when like one of the pros drop a new edit.
Yeah.
And haven't you just dropped one recently?
Yeah, I made a video called it's called Gone West. One of my mates from the UK, his name's Rudy Tallboys.
Yeah.
He's sick. He's actually in Mackay at the moment.
Oh no way.
He's working over there. So yeah, we made a video. We filmed it pretty quickly actually. We filmed it in, which is pretty unheard of. We filmed it in 1 2-hour session, and then we just came down and had an hour session here and there, and we filmed each other. And so all in all, we probably did about 4 hours of filming to make a whole edit, which is pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
So it was pretty efficient for what it was. The process can be pretty long because you've got people who, I guess it's a bit tricky now with social media, because as an athlete you're expected to post on social media and keep your I don't know, your fans or no, what's it called? It's audience.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
No,
it's
you're
all good.
good.
No, you guys are cruising. Keep your audience engaged.
Yeah. And the sponsors happy as well.
Yeah, and keeping the sponsors happy, because that's what gets the engagement, that's what gets the viewership. And trying to hold on to tricks to make a long edit is quite hard nowadays.
Yeah.
And so for people to do that, it's pretty impressive, because you know, you want that instant gratification of putting a trick out and getting your feedback back straight away. But really holding on to tricks and putting together a really nice edit, it does go a long way still, and people really do enjoy when they get put out. Some people film videos over a week, some people film them over a month, some people will film a full part over an entire year.
Yeah, I could imagine. So the tricks that you do in an edit compared to a comp, I'd imagine a lot would be very similar, but you'd also chuck in tricks in the edit that you like only land very rarely.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously because you're just writing for yourself and you're writing for the video, you can sit there and try a trick for 3 days and get it once, and then you've got that on film and that'll go in the video. But contests, it's got to be tricks that you land every time, and because they are tricks that you can land every time, you see them all the time. So if you were to put like a contest trick in an edit, people are going like, oh, like I see that every day. Whether it's just like a regular spin without a grab, and if there is a contest trick in an edit, usually it's tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
So someone will add like a really nice looking grab, or they'll go really big for some reason, or so there's ways to change the tricks, but definitely the writing in videos is completely different to how people write in contest.
Oh, that's fascinating. All right, well, we'll move on to a couple more questions, and I suppose we'll wrap it up. One thing that I'd love to know more about is wakeboarding's a very dangerous sport. It comes with a lot of consequences when you mess up, and even, you know, as you grow older, you probably need replacements and stuff like that. What motivates you to keep sending it massive and just pushing yourself to the next level?
The feeling you get when it goes right.
Yeah.
It is pretty tricky. Certain tricks you go to do, you don't have a choice other than to land it, because if you don't land it, or you don't commit to it fully, then something's going to go seriously wrong.
Yeah.
And that fear and that excitement is, you almost become addicted to it.
Yeah.
So instead of like it pulling you away from trying the trick, it makes you want to try it more because you're looking for that feeling.
Yeah.
And then the relief afterwards and the excitement that you get, it's insane.
It's the
massive
adrenaline that keeps you pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you push harder and harder to get more of that. You know, sometimes it'll go wrong, and you get really lucky, and you come out of it okay, and you sit there and you're going, oh my gosh.
What about the times when you don't come out of it lucky? What are some of your worst incidents?
Oh, one was in 2019.
Yeah.
None of them like are really bad. Like I've had like stress fractures in ankles, but nothing crazy. But most of mine are head injuries.
Okay.
So like concussions, and because when you catch your edge on a wakeboard, you go from however fast you're going to just zero. You just bang, hit the water, and when you're hitting the water that hard, it feels very, very hard. And so worst one's probably, it was actually in Queensland for a contest. I was doing practice, and I tried an air trick that I wasn't 100% comfortable with, and I came down pretty hard, and I was out in the water, had to get pulled out of the water. I was up on the beach and woke up on the beach, like had no idea where I was, back of an ambulance, and went to hospital. So
I'm guessing you didn't compete in that contest.
No, I did actually. I did.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was board stock. It was a contest called board stock.
Yeah.
So that was probably not the best move, but.
How'd you go in the contest?
I won.
Oh, you won.
Yeah. So I don't know if my head's thanking me for it.
No.
And then there's been a couple like respirated water, and then just like late onset concussions where I'm fine, I can pull myself out of the water, I can talk, and then all of a sudden I'll just forget what's happened, and I'll be really confused again. And so you really, really got to watch that, and at a certain point you start to get worried, and having to feel confident to come back after something like that is it's pretty tricky.
Yeah, that would be such a daunting process, knowing that like you've hurt yourself so bad before. What if it happens again? And that replaying through your mind. How do you overcome those situations?
It's pretty tricky, but most of the stuff that I've hurt myself on has been stuff that has been pretty silly.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it hasn't been, because when I'm trying something really serious, I do everything I can to make sure that doesn't go wrong.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times when I'm just messing around, you get overconfident, and you do something, you go a little bit bigger, do something different to what you're usually doing, and then you get completely broken off. And it's just, you just got to take a step back, and it's great because wakeboarding and board sports alike, whether it's snowboarding, skateboarding, you cannot be overconfident.
No, it's a very humbling sport, isn't it?
Oh, because as soon as you start to become overconfident, the sport will humble you immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether that's the sport that you're doing, like whether you're riding and you just eat it completely, or you get overconfident in the community and the community just rips you to shreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got all board sports, I've noticed it's very similar culture.
Yeah. And very community based. As much as it's an independent sport, we're all in it together.
Yeah. Do you think it's because like pretty much all board sports are pretty young, and so the community's growing and it's changing, and it's all about becoming a better version of yourself?
Yeah. Like, a lot of the time now, like I come down to the park to ride, but I come down to the park to see everyone, to ride with people. You know, if no one was here, I doubt I would be riding at all, because it would just suck. And
it's the hype that everyone brings. Like yesterday afternoon, Hamish
was
Hamish
like doing the double,
and the whole entire deck was like cheering him on.
Yeah.
For everyone, Hamish is like this little. How old is he?
He's 13 now.
13. He's one of the most hectic wakeboarders.
Oh, dude, he sends it. He
And,
goes
like,
so hard.
It's like a family. I feel like that's what wakeboarding is. Everyone
Yeah,
here
absolutely.
is wanting each other to do better. So with wakeboarding being a young sport and you've seen it progress, what are you most excited about in its future?
That's a tricky one. I'm most excited to, I guess, see how the tricks progress, because as the sport progresses, the mindset around the sport changes a lot.
Yeah.
So the tricks that are I guess cool to do, and the tricks that aren't cool to do, I'm intrigued to see, like, whether some of the super young guys start, I guess, breaking into some new territory. I'm at the stage now where we are the young guys, we're the up and coming guys.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got that ability to reach into new territory and change the sport for kind of how we want it to be. But I'm really excited to see what new contest ideas they can come up with. Getting creative with new cable features
And like, yeah, exactly. Like obstacles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like what sort of rails and boy, that's so exciting. Do you have any say in what gets put in certain parks?
only really this one.
Yeah.
But Ben, who builds all the obstacles, also co-owns the park. He'll ask the riders for feedback. Oh, how did you like this rail? How was it made? Did it go okay? Is where it is okay on the lake?
Yeah.
So we do have a bit of say about where things should go, how they should be built, which is really, really cool. So it makes it a bit more special.
Yeah.
Riding the features and knowing that your thoughts and your ideas are valued by the park that you ride at, because they've done so much for my wakeboarding career, especially. And it just means heaps that you feel a part of something, even if it's like super small or even if it's huge. It's nice to feel like you've got a space where you can, I don't know, just feel like it's your space.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of coming back to it's a family community.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
everyone's
absolutely.
looking out, how can we improve each other? Well, I have one final question for you. So the idea of this podcast is it's encouraging people to speak to new people, because you never know who you could meet. But it's also promotion for my song coming out this Wednesday. So it'll be
Beautiful.
out when this is out. And
sick.
the song's called Forgotten Gold.
Okay.
And so I like to finish the podcast with asking people, what does the word forgotten gold mean to you? Like, what's the forgotten gold in wakeboarding?
The forgotten gold. I've never heard that before. What do you mean by it? Like,
I suppose it's sort of,
elaborate a little bit.
what's a forgotten piece about this community that means so much that some people forget about? What excites you about coming here every day? It's like a golden piece, like it's very valuable. It's a very difficult question.
It is tricky. I'm thinking, like, because especially when you get to a higher level, you get caught up in getting good and making sure you're working hard for yourself, so you can win, and so you can make a bit of cash, and so you can have the glory, I guess.
Yeah.
But riding with mates, I think, because I've reached a point where, I'll come down to the park, and if I'm not training for a contest, or if I'm not filming it for content or filming for videos, I'll lose all my motivation, and I won't ride, because I'm like, what's the point if I'm not going anywhere? And so you kind of get caught up in trying to make yourself better, so you forget about why you are actually wakeboarding in the first place.
Yeah.
And that is, you know, sharing the stoke with people and having your mates around. And so I think it's really important to make sure every now and then you take a step back, you put the camera down.
And you remember why you started wakeboarding in the first
you get
place.
some mates and you go out and you have a session.
I feel like that's a
not-
perfect response to the question.
Not in front of a camera, not with any goal in mind, just to go out there and ride and have fun with your mates.
Yep. Well, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. If someone wants
thanks
to
for having me.
watch your wakeboarding or watch your edit going west, where
Yeah.
can they find you?
So Gone West is on YouTube. It's on the Liquid Force YouTube page.
Yep.
So that's the board company. And then see some other stuff. I don't know if you can link an Instagram or something in there. You can watch all that stuff over there. But yeah, we've definitely got a bunch more content coming out soon, and the season's starting up end of April. So
Yep.
stay tuned for that, and hopefully we do okay this season.
Awesome. Well,
be
thank
a
you
good
for
one.
being on, and I suppose
thanks for
thank you
having
to Perth Wake Park for unknowingly let us film this podcast
Yeah,
here.
very nice.
And they've been
quiet day.
so nice letting us play gigs here. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's good.
And awesome. Thanks for watching another episode.
Thumbs
Cheers.
up. Get that going.
Well, that was good.
That was fun. It's pretty funky.